You ever wake up and just know your day's about to get a whole lot messier than your morning coffee? Well, picture this, sun's not even up yet. I step outside for a little peace, and what do I see? Three strangers out in my field hammering survey stakes right into my family's land like they owned the dirt under their boots. No knock, no wave, nothing, just the clack of metal and the kind of confidence that says, "We do this all the time." You know what I mean? That's the kind of morning that makes you wish you'd poured something a little stronger than black coffee. Now let me back up a sec because I wasn't out there looking for trouble. I was home to check on my dad after a scare, hoping for nothing more dramatic than helping him settle in for the day. But trouble's got this habit of getting up earlier than any Carter I've ever known. I stood on the porch boards, creaking the same way they did when I was a kid, air cold and honest before sunrise with the sky still deciding what color it wants to be. My father used to call mornings like that the blank page, a chance to write something that mattered. Thunk, thunk, thunk. That's what broke the spell. Not wind, not cattle, just steel, driving into hard-packed earth. I lower my mug, squint across the field, and there they are. Two in neon vests, one waving a survey pole like he's the king of county development, another with a map stretched across a truck hood with out-of-state plates. It wasn't the equipment that bugged me. It was the attitude, like they'd been told the land was already theirs. Not a glance at the house. No nod. Nothing. I just watched, letting the silence stretch, because sometimes patience speaks louder than a shotgun. My dad always said a real cowboy doesn't rush a fight, and a real lawyer learns to listen before he talks. Put the two together, and silence becomes a weapon. Behind me, the screen door groaned open. Dad stepped out slow and stiff, one hand pressed to his ribs. He looked older in that half-light, not weaker, just worn down by years of lines being crossed. "Sam," he growled, "you seeing what I'm seeing?" I nodded. He stared across the pasture, jaw clenching the way it always did when right and wrong got tangled. Then he said it, "Nobody drives a stake into Carter land without paying for it." That's not a threat or a confession. That's a fact carved into us long before lawyers and deeds existed. The sun crested the ridge just enough to light up those stakes and the fresh tire tracks on land that remembered who it belonged to. Right then I knew this wasn't going to be a visit. It was going to be a reckoning. I stepped off the porch, boots crunching gravel, making sure they heard every step. The closest one finally looked up, blinking like he couldn't believe someone lived here. "Morning," he says, polite but empty. I didn't smile. "Morning. You want to tell me why you're staking Carterland?" He faked a smile, gave me a line about county development maps and notices mailed out weeks ago. I let it hang. Lies wrapped in excuses. I checked their map, no county seal, just cheap laminate and bold red lines slicing through our pasture. "You boys carry ID?" I ask. He shrugs, says that's management's job. "You're standing on private property," I say, calm but steady, "which means you need permission and a reason. You've shown neither." They share a look. Things weren't going the way they planned. Then the short one pipes up, claims Greenhaven Residential told them the land's in transition, owners signed off. I didn't blink. "Who told you that?" He brags the name like it should scare me. Dad hadn't moved, but I could feel his stare burning holes in these men. I told them, "Step off my land. Get your supervisor on the phone. Let me see those documents." They insist they have orders, then slip up and say they got them from the new property owner. That's all I needed. I leaned in low and lawyer steady, a man lying ought to make sure his story matches the world he's standing in. The shaved head guy smirks, asks what world that is. I just point at my dad standing on the porch. Their faces drop, they finally get it. I kept my voice even. "You've got one chance to walk off this land before this becomes criminal." For a second, their arrogance wobbles. Then the tall one threatens to report me to Greenhaven. I laugh, a cold, slow smile. "Son, I don't take kindly to threats. Not on my land." Dad finally speaks, voice like thunder. "Tell your bosses the Carters are still here. They snatch up their gear and peel out, but I knew they'd be back. Not long after, I'm sitting in a hospital exam room with Dad. He's hurt, but more stubborn than anything. The doc runs through the chart, says Dad's blood pressure is sky high, stress off the charts. Dad brushes it off. Carters don't complain. But then the doc mentions Dad nearly collapsing outside a liquor store. My head snaps up. Liquor store, Dad won't look at me. Turns out he was just standing out there clutching his chest with a black SUV parked outside our house for an hour. No plates, just watching. You called the sheriff, I asked. He did. Sheriff said it was kids or tourists. I know my dad. He wasn't worked up for nothing. Nurse hands me his jacket, and inside I find a folded document, Ridge Pine Community Development Compensation and Transition Agreement. Dad's name forged. Date matches his collapse. Notary stamp, William Jenkins, who's been dead 3 months. My stomach turns. Where'd you get this? I ask. Dad's hands tremble. They shoved it in my face, threatened to tie me up in court, left it on the porch. He never signed anything. I fold the paper, pocket it, and tell Dad I'm going to find the person who drafted this garbage. I leave him with the promise that I'm going to remind Ridgepine what happens when you cross a Carter. Ridgepine's office is one of those places that tries too hard. Fresh, logo-peeling paint blinds crooked. I walk in, receptionist tries to block me, but Victoria Hale calls me back. She's polished, practiced, and thinks she's already won. I lay the forged document on her desk. She plays dumb, but I nail her with the dead notary stamp. Her mask cracks just a hair. She says the acquisition is in motion. I tell her forgery is a felony and she picked the wrong family to mess with a family with a lawyer for a son. On the drive home, I know things aren't right. My house feels off, door handle cold, Bible on the coffee table, rifled through lockbox. Under Dad's bed, disturbed black paint smudges on the mudroom floor. Even a chipped piece of security camera housing. They weren't just surveying, they were prepping for something bigger. Then I see it. A brand new steel gate, 8 feet wide, keypad cameras bolted into my driveway with guards in blue uniforms blocking the entrance. They'd locked up my dog Bruno just to keep him quiet. Dad's standing under the barn, furious but steady. Gate went up an hour ago. Management orders, they said. My blood runs cold. I call Sheriff Dale Hargrove the only man in this county I still trust. He rolls up in minutes, takes one look at the gate, at the guards, at the so-called paperwork. County records say Ridgepine is temporary controlling entity interim management review, a term that doesn't exist in any law book. And the supposed authorizing deputy retired 7 months ago. Sheriff shakes his head, tells me not to go off half-cocked. I nod. If Ridgepine wants paperwork, I'll bury them in it. I set up cameras, get my phone and dash cam rolling, and make it clear for the record that they're trespassing. Guard 1 gets mouthy, but I keep it legal. When they threaten to arrest me, I thank them for giving me everything I need on video. Jack, my dad's old friend, asks if I want the scatter gun. Not yet. But when the guards start getting pushy, I take the shotgun off the rack, empty safety on, pointed at the ground. It's not a threat. It's documentation. One guard gets bold, starts reaching inside his vest. I pump the shotgun once loud, clear, legal. They flinch, retreat. I got it all on tape. Minutes later, the circus comes back. Sheriff guards' complaints flying, but I show the sheriff the footage, every second, every move, every sound. Guards crossed the line. I stayed legal videos crystal clear. Sheriff sides with me. He throws the guards off my land, warns them not to come back. And just when I think it's finally quiet, a man steps out from the tree line, Leo Turner, FBI. He's been watching Ridgepine for 18 months. Tells me they're not just an HOA, they're a laundering front for dirty developers and bid-rigging contractors. All they ever needed was proof, my video, my forged deed, the dead notary stamp. We're about to bring the law down on their heads. We raid Ridgepine's headquarters, feds everywhere, golf shirts running for the exits, glass doors smashed, fake notary stamps everywhere. We arrest Victoria Hale, still playing the victim, still thinking she'll walk. But the evidence is a mountain, and she's at the bottom. Leo promises this isn't just about land, it's organized crime, and I'm the missing piece. Back home, the welder cuts down that steel gate. The sound is pure justice. Dad and I stand there watching as the ugly thing gets melted down. Bruno runs wild. For the first time in weeks, the land feels like ours again. We plant sunflowers where the gate used to be hundreds of them, gold faces turned toward the morning sun. Dad hands me coffee, tells me I did good. I tell him we did. Land doesn't just belong to a family belongs to the land. It remembers, forgives, waits for us to come home. And if you're lucky, you get to watch the sunrise over fields you fought to keep whole, free, and yours. Now let me ask you this. If someone tried to take what your family spent a lifetime building, how far would you go to get it back? Drop your wildest story in the comments. Tell me, what's justice really mean to you? And if you've ever had to stand your ground for something you love, hit subscribe, and join me for the next reckoning.